Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. This is probably going to be my shortest review of all the episodes. Okay? It's a good episode. It's not a great episode. It's kind of a transitional. You always get at least one, in any sort of like, you have to have an episode like this, right? Where it's transitional. Like, not a lot of major stuff happens in it, but it kind of sets up, links where we came from to where we're going, which is the final two episodes. So, episode the penultimate episode, and episode 9, the final episode. And it's the series had gone where I suspected they were going 2 episodes ago, right? Because remember, for the first 5 episodes, you basically were in a 2-month time frame. World War II is several years longer. So, again, I don't know the particulars of what the 2 books are about, but now I'm guessing the 2 books were basically concentrating on those initial air campaigns and then followed several of the main characters, through to how they did in the rest of the war, with mostly POWs or in a command position in one case. So that makes sense, right? I really wish they would do a second season of this to show the air campaign in between, the one with the big, what we saw here, and the end of the war. Get a different book. Give us some different character perspectives, maybe some of the fighter pilots or something. Or maybe, I'm not 100% sure where they could go with it, but there is more to this war, the air war in World War II, even just in Europe, than there is we were shown here in this show. Okay? Now, I understand. I'm not looking for like a 7-season documentary, but I just feel this is about as good, maybe slightly less. It's as well done as Band of Brothers and the Pacific. It's not as qualitatively good as those 2. It's almost, it's right just below the Pacific. And granted, I have a bias to the Pacific because John Basilone is the hero of the Pacific, and he's Italian American icon, at least through my generation, right? Up through my generation. The younger kids probably don't know who he is. So let's get on. So now you'll see my thumbnail, and obviously where the opening shot is this episode shows the lives of the pilots after those initial missions, right? So these are all Air Force pilots for the most part, who are prisoners of the Germans in POW camps. And then, of course, we'll have the other character, the navigator, who's now the navigator of the entire air campaign, basically. And he and a few other guys are on rest and relaxation and recovery from all the horrors they've been through while they rebuild all those destroyed divisions. Now, what they're not showing you here in the show, they only very loosely alluded to it, like 1 or 2 references. There was a massive changeover in the military command. The people who wanted to do, starting with that raid on Bremen, which was even though it was a daytime raid, it was strategic bombing, attacking the civilian aspect of the war. Again, I went over the whole moral aspect of that last 2 episodes. Okay, so I'm not going to rehash it. And what happened as a result of the tremendous casualty suffered by the Allies, like the British weren't doing night bombing, the Americans weren't doing night bombings. It's just reality. And of course, what we'll see this episode is they finally have a fighter, enough of a fighter presence, and with the vehicle, the P-51, if I remember correctly, which was in general as good as German fighter planes. Some say better, whatever. I'm not enough of an expert to say one way or the other. I know the P-51 represents a significant advance when not only was it developed, but it was deployed enough to protect these fighter screens, and you'll see that in this episode when you watch it. So that's the war aspect of it and what's happening on friendly lines. Behind enemy lines, I linked to probably the most significant thing people know of in comparison to the POW situation for the Allies. In the movie The Great Escape, which is based on the book The Great Escape, which is based on a real event. Now, obviously, the movie sort of sanitized it a little bit because when The Great Escape happened, half of them were executed, literally captured, executed on the orders of Hitler himself. Okay, and it made, in some respect, I'm not saying they shouldn't have escaped. I'm saying, in some respect, it made it worse for the remaining POWs because this was embarrassing to Hitler. So he had the SS start going. So you understand, the POW camps were running by the German military, which is a professional organization that was obeying the treaties, right? even though times were tough with food, for the most part, there was under the German military, there was very little hard interrogation. There was some interrogation, but there wasn't like what the SS did basically when it came in, right? Escapes usually tend to be punished with some hard time as long as you were captured alive. The German military wanted to encourage. They would operate under we know you'll do to our prisoners what we do to yours, so we will treat yours with respect. That wasn't the German command. That wasn't the SS and Hitler's response to that. Their response was they didn't care about their own men, which I could tell you about the study the history of the bridge at Remagen when my grandfather got hit. And you'll learn the SS basically was going to abandon 100,000 German troopers to be obliterated by the Allies. And there was a big conflict between the SS and the German military command there. So that's kind of what's going on in this episode. I've given some links to The Great Escape. There's a couple other movies like Stalag 17. This is a deep dive, so I'm not going to spam you with links for this episode. And the visuals are, as always, amazing. Honestly, I've been talking for 6 minutes, and I'm not sure I have that much more to say because this is that traditional episode where not a lot great happens, like of memorable events, just a couple of cool little things, that might be interesting to individual people. So let's get on. The POW camp, Stalag Luft 3 is one of the bigger ones. There's Buck and Buck, so to speak. Double Buck. So that there was a lot of so what was happening and what they're alluding to here is there were actually a lot of, relatively speaking, of, especially among the Air Force, the airmen, right? They I don't know why, you can have different debates, but there are a lot of escape attempts and counterintelligence attempts, like building secret radios and passing information that from German, some German they gathered from the German soldiers who either were stupid and let stuff slip, or in some cases were sympathetic and knew they were transmitting information, and sort of because they wanted the war over. Okay, the German military did not want World War II, and they wanted it over when it began. Life in the camps, and then now we're back on the Allied side with, showing how the Allies are dealing with it. Here's what's his face? I don't remember his name. Honestly, none of these characters stick to me the way say some of the Pacific and Band of Brothers one did. Great visuals. Those planes were so tough, man. And the fact that we lost all these pilots in them, even though the plane would return sometimes, shows you how tough the plane was. That's the only reason anyone survived at all these trips. Little adult scene there. Let's get past that. And now this is a big change. This is where they're indirectly telling you about the change in the command structure, right? So, the new generation of commanders of the Air Force, of the Army Air Corps, which eventually became the Air Force, were people who actually had fought in these planes, fought in this type of war. They've been promoted through the ranks because of success, combined with needing more officers for bigger militaries, and so this guy is a hands-on commander. He's going on the mission, which he probably did not because he thought he would be the great leader, but he was the other guys who said, "Look, one of us has to go on his mission because these guys think we're just sending them to their deaths. And if one of us goes on a mission, it'll inspire them and to say, we're not sending you on your deaths. We're doing something on purpose." That's why he goes on this mission in particular. And they're trying to talk about the show is trying to talk about the change of command in a positive way, whereas in reality, in the real world, if you ever look into this, it was a sacking. It was negative. Every time this happens in the military, where an old group of military generals and admirals are pushed out after the civilian command says, "Wait, we can't have all these casualties, or war's not going up," it's always a bloodbath, and it involves ending careers and whatnot. Yeah, I was originally going to use this some of the shots from this briefing as my screenshot, but at the opening in Stalag Luft 3 was better. We got a standard mission. Thankfully, since it'll be the same stuff over again, they don't just highlight it. But let's get past that. And so this is him telling them the results of what happened with the escape. How the SS has been said Hitler ordered executions, and the SS is going to intervene now more often in these camps. And if you don't want that to happen, he's saying he doesn't want that to happen either, because that affects not only his reputation and career, but the honor of the German military. They don't want these SS motherfrackers involved. He's saying get a tight ship, stop the escape attempts, blah blah blah. And here are highlights for the next episode. The Tuskegee Airmen are showing up in the next episode. And that's pretty much it. Like a transitional episode, good episode. Doesn't mean much unless you've seen the previous seven, basically. Six, I'm sorry. I'm one episode behind, so I'll have my episode review out probably Tuesday, if I cross my fingers. Anyway, share if you would like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Comment down below if you have any questions. Hopefully the links I'm giving you in the my links in my text below are informational. Some of it's pretty lengthy reading. Anyway, have a great weekend.